Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. And we're going to do something a little different today on this Mondays in the 90s. But before we get into this, I got a few people to thank for some super thanks. I want to thank, and forgive me if I mess up the name, Blaine Almeida for, two different $2 super thanks. But on the one, he says, thanks for your excellent approach to being so forthcoming and equally forthright. You, Uncommon, along with AOH, 2 Raw for TV /sports, Ticket TV, Casino for Life, Dreamers Pro. I've even listened to who I refer to as the Historian Sports 78 or vice versa. I cannot respect Shay Shay Sharp and Stylist, nor do I respect Sassy Stephen A. Smith, nor Keyshawn and his bootlicking stupidity, and alas, the donkey job. I'm sorry, it's hilarious to me. The donkey jawbone face Dre Green. You, Uncommon, have the content, music, and perspective, very much like 2 Raw. You two actually have similar sounds in your intelligent speech and truth. I do better, but I'm 70 years and counting. At Blaine Almeida, I cannot thank you enough for supporting the channel. Thanks a lot. It means a lot. And appreciate the comment about the music too. I've had a few people comment about my intro music, and that's something I created myself, so it is much appreciated. Thanks to Vernon Lee Warren 280 for the $2 super thanks, and he just simply says thanks. At Vernon Lee Warren 280, greatly appreciated. Thanks for supporting the content. I cannot thank you enough. And at someone who supports my channel very regularly, shout out to at 43vert with the $2 super thanks, and he just simply says thanks. Hey, I greatly appreciate you and your wife checking out my content. I think that's so awesome that that she enjoys listening to it along with you. So, hey, thank you guys for the support. Like I said, I really can't thank you guys enough. So I got this idea when I did the video, where's LeBron's Be Like LeBron commercial? And, I talked about basketball in the 90s, and I had people kind of chime in with where they were from, and, to confirm that what I was saying about basketball in the 90s was the truth, not only where I'm from, but all across the United States and the world. So this video is for everyone who grew up in that era. This is kind of like a roll call. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and growing up in the 90s. But if you grew up in the 90s, if you are a regular viewer of this channel, even if you are not, please take the time, check in, drop where you're from, where you're from, but more importantly, where you were living during the Jordan era. And if you don't mind, to talk a little bit about what it was like where you were at during the Jordan era. So, so I'll just say, I live in Tennessee, and where I'm from, I remember I was still in elementary school when I first encountered the group NWA. When I heard that for the first time, it blew my mind. You know, I was hooked on that music. And so NWA, and again, I've talked about this in other videos, the diversity of hip hop in the 80s and 90s was just incredible. You know, I was a fan of Kool Moe Dee. I was a fan of LL Cool J. I was a fan of Kwame. I was a fan of De La Soul. I was a fan of Slick Rick, KRS-One, Diggable Planets. I mean, the list is just really infinite. Heavy D, Kid and Play. I mean, like I said, the variety of music in the 80s and 90s was just so tremendous. So I was heavy into all that stuff. By the time I got to middle school, that was kind of when, I can't exactly remember what year the show Martin first came onto the scene. Had to be somewhere around 91, 92, but Martin came onto the scene, and like I said, I was in the middle school, and I remember the show came on weekly, and better believe that whenever that show aired, that was the talk in school the next day. We were all talking about Martin, trying to imitate Martin, and so actually, let me double check this right quick. Yeah, so the show Martin came out in 1992. Michael Jordan won his first championship in 1991. So the beginning of the Jordan era, which I would say is 91, when he won his first championship. The beginning of the Jordan era. As the 90s progressed, you saw more and more of how basketball culture became the culture. You know, obviously, on average, there are more tremendous athletes, but you know, I wouldn't say there are more tremendous athletes now. But what I would say is the athletes have access to things to enhance their athleticism now. But when I was back in middle school, you know, there were a couple of guys dunking the basketball in middle school. So there's always been tremendous athletes. But as the 90s progressed, you begin to see more and more of this basketball culture that just kind of took over. And like I said, from the jerseys, and it wasn't just basketball jerseys. There's a lot of football jerseys, but especially basketball jerseys. And the more prominent Jordan became, like I said, by the time he got done with that first three-peat, it was Jordan frenzy everywhere. And by the time I got to high school, basketball was everything for everybody. For everyone I hung around, basketball was everything. And like I said, we were playing basketball, you know, 5 to 6 times a week. Sometimes it was on the outside courts. Sometimes it was in the gym. But it was, like I said, 5 or 6 times a week. Again, you know, there were certain places you didn't want to go play basketball unless you knew somebody, you know. But even, you know, in the regular places, you know, the potential for a fight to break out was always there because the competition was high. Like, we wanted to win. Everybody wanted to win. You know, I remember going to a neighboring town with 3 of my friends, and we were just playing half-court basketball. And we went to this neighboring town, and we didn't lose the entire day. Like, and people they were not happy about it, you know. And needless to say, You know, we it got to that point to where people were talking about going to the trunk and all that kind of stuff, and we just had to get on out of there. But basketball was taken serious. Everybody considered themselves a competitor. Everybody wanted to win. Like I said, there were certain places that you did not want to go play basketball, but really that potential was almost anywhere that you played basketball, just because people were, basketball was your chance to be somebody, so to speak. And like I said, this place called Just for Feet, this particular place was a shoe store. And like I said, there were games running 24/7 pretty much. Like I said, you could go there 3 p.m. during the day. You could go there 3 a.m. at night. And there were people out there, in the courts that were the most popular. The girls would be out there too. And so I'm going to make this side note about 90s. Women in the 90s were beautiful. Sometimes when I go back and watch some of these 90s videos, it is a shame to what the beauty standards in society has become nowadays, because it has become not natural. All these BBLs and all that stuff, it's ridiculous. But women in the 90s, for the most part, were still all natural. And that was a beautiful thing. But yeah, like I was saying, for the most popular courts, there were, you better believe there were women hanging out there. And so that ramped up the competition even more, because, sometimes guys were out there with their girls and didn't want to get embarrassed, or sometimes guys were out there hoping to pick up some girls. So they were trying to show out. But the competition was high. And like I said, not to go back into this because it's not really this kind of video. This is a check-in video. Like I said, for the people who grew up during that era, I'm gonna say it one more time. Please drop where you're from, but more importantly, drop where you were living during this time, during the Jordan era. And like I said, if you don't mind writing a brief, or not brief, write as much as you want. But I guess the point of so the point of this is, I'm gonna take some of these stories that you guys put in the comments and make videos from them. So, because I want everybody to understand what this time was like, that you cannot replace this time in history. You cannot replace that feeling that it was like growing up during that era when everybody was playing basketball. It was just such a beautiful time. So yeah, so that's the point of this video. You guys chime in, like I said, write your stories where you were living during the Jordan era and what it was like where you were at. And then I'm gonna make a video and read some of those stories, especially for these young kids, so they can understand, like I said, that literally Jordan had taken over the world at that point. But anyway, yeah, back to the courts. Like I said, it was so competitive, and everybody wanted to win, and everybody was trying to be like Mike. That was the goal. Everybody wanted to be that fierce competitor that we saw Michael Jordan be. And so yeah, like I was saying, and then you take into account all the different kind of leagues in the city that you had. But more importantly, like I said, the 3-on-3 tournaments is something that I dearly miss. I look back on those 3-on-3 tournaments with the fondest of memories, because that was some of the hardest competition and most of the time greatest display of what sportsmanship was like. Because like I said, I remember having some battles where, definitely some fights almost broke out, but 90% of the time, at the end of the games, we all shook hands and hugged it out, because it was understood that it's not personal, it's strictly business. Like, we wanted to win. And we were willing to fight to win. And so I look back up on those 3-on-3 tournaments, Triple Crown. That's one I couldn't think of. I think when I did either the Be Like LeBron video or my Jordan in the 90s video. Triple Crown. That was one of the main ones I remember in this region. But I'm sure it was plenty of them floating around. And then at some point, you had stuff like the and one that came into the picture. And I think the and one stuff might have came in more towards when Kobe started becoming more prominent. The early 2000s, I know Kobe came into the league in 96, 97. But I think around the early 2000s, somebody correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think that's when the and one stuff kind of started becoming more prominent. But yeah, the 90s was just like I said. It was just a beautiful time. And for you youngsters out there who think that we are hard on LeBron or hard on the newer generation of NBA players, like I said, you could only understand if you got to witness it. If you got to witness Michael Jordan in person, then you would understand why we would be upset when they are clearly trying to put LeBron in a place that he has not earned. But anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of tell y'all a little bit about myself and talk again about basketball in the 90s. But more importantly, like I said, if you guys don't mind, let me know where you're from. Let me know where you were at during the 90s, during the Jordan era, and talk a little bit about what it was like where you were at. And like I said, I'm going to read these stories in some videos. I'm going to start a series with these videos, and it kind of just depended on how many people respond and write something out, and that'll determine how long the series goes. But like I said, I just want to spread, I just want to confirm for these young people and get confirmation from the people who lived through it that we are not exaggerating when we talk about what the Jordan era was like. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. All right.